The sky had been burning for 3 days. Not metaphorically, not poetically. It had actually been on fire. From the moment the orbital defense grid collapsed, the upper atmosphere of Kelry's Prime turned into a raging storm of plasma debris. Ships, once sleek carriers of war and pride, fell like dying stars, carving molten scars across the violet sky. Entire continents trembled as the invaders descended. Commander Vera of the Ninth Blade had watched it all, and she had lost. Beginning the fall of the Ninth Blade. Vera lay on the cold metallic floor of her shattered command vessel, her breathing shallow, her armor cracked open along her ribs. The glow from her suit's life support indicator flickered weakly, each pulse slower than the last. She could taste iron in her throat. Not blood. Her species didn't bleed like humans, but something close enough to know death was near. Her last memory before blacking out had been the scream of her fleet as it disintegrated under the overwhelming firepower of the unknown enemy. No signals. No survivors. No retreat. The Ninth Blade, the most feared strike unit in the Kelry's Dominion, had been erased in under 8 minutes. She had failed. For a warrior born and bred for conquest, failure had only one acceptable outcome. Death. And so she had welcomed it. As her vision dimmed, she closed her eyes, not in fear, but in resignation. Let it end. But it didn't. Middle. A strange awakening. The first thing Vera noticed was the smell. It was warm, rich, savory. Something unfamiliar, yet strangely comforting. It cut through the fog in her mind, pulling her back from the edge of oblivion. She frowned slightly. This is not death. Her eyes opened. The ceiling above her was simple. White. Smooth. No circuitry, no tactical overlays, no ambient combat data. Just a flat, featureless surface. She turned her head slowly, her body protesting with every movement. And then she saw him. A human. Standing in what appeared to be a small kitchen space, his back turned to her as he stirred something in a shallow pan. Steam rose into the air, carrying that same unfamiliar scent. He hummed softly. Hummed. Vera's instinct screamed at her. Her muscles tensed as she tried to rise, but her body betrayed her, collapsing back onto the soft surface beneath her. A bed. She was lying on a bed. Captured. Her mind snapped into focus. She scanned the room quickly. No restraints. No visible weapons. No guards. No surveillance drones. Just the human. He turned slightly, as if sensing her movement. Oh, he said casually, glancing over his shoulder. You're awake. No alarm. No aggression. Just acknowledgement. Vera stared at him, her golden eyes narrowing. You should not be alive, she said, her voice rough but steady. The human blinked, then smiled faintly. Funny. I was about to say the same thing. An uneasy truce. His name was Elias. He explained it while placing a bowl beside her, carefully, as if approaching a wounded animal. I found your ship, he said, sitting on a nearby chair. Or what was left of it. You were the only one still breathing, or whatever your equivalent is. Vera didn't touch the food. You should have finished the task, she replied coldly. An enemy left alive is a future threat. Elias shrugged. Maybe. Or maybe not. She studied him. No fear. No arrogance. Just calm. It unsettled her more than any weapon could. Why? She demanded. He tilted his head. Why what? Why save me? He paused, considering the question. Then he answered simply. Because you were dying. The days that followed. Vera stayed. Not by choice, but because her body refused to function without assistance. Her injuries were severe. Even with advanced Kelry's regeneration, she needed time. And Elias, despite his primitive technology, had managed to stabilize her condition. Days passed, then weeks. She observed him constantly. Elias lived alone in a remote settlement, far from the main human cities. His home was modest, filled with strange objects, books, plants, cooking tools. No weapons, no armor. He cooked daily. Every meal was different. Every meal had that same warmth. At first, Vera refused to eat. Then hunger forced her hand, and she realized something unexpected. Human food was extraordinary. "You're staring again," Elias said one evening, glancing up from his plate. "I am analyzing," Vera replied. He smirked. "Analyzing spaghetti?" She frowned slightly. "This spaghetti is inefficient in structure, but surprisingly effective in nutrient delivery." Elias laughed. "That's one way to put it. Fragments of humanity." Over time, Vera began to understand something she had never encountered before. Peace. There were no orders here. No battles. No hierarchy. Just living. Elias would wake up, prepare food, tend to his small garden, read, repair things, and occasionally talk to her, whether she responded or not. At first, she dismissed it as weakness. Then she started to question. "How do you survive without conflict?" she asked one day. Elias looked up from his workbench. "Who says we don't have conflict?" She crossed her arms. "You are not at war." He smiled faintly. "War isn't the only kind of conflict." She didn't understand. Not yet. The truth revealed. It was on the 32nd day that everything changed. Vera had regained enough strength to stand on her own. Her armor, partially repaired, clung to her body once more. She stepped outside for the first time. The sky here was blue. Not violet. Not burning. Blue. She stared at it in silence. "You're far from home," Elias said quietly, standing beside her. "Yes," she replied. A pause. Then she asked the question that had been building inside her. "Who attacked my world?" Elias didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at the horizon. "You won't like the answer." Her gaze sharpened. "Speak." He exhaled slowly. "It was us." The breaking point. The world seemed to freeze. Vera turned to him, her eyes blazing. "Impossible." Elias shook his head. "Not impossible. Just complicated." Her hand moved instinctively to her weapon. "You expect me to believe that your species, this fragile, unstructured civilization, destroyed the ninth blade?" "We didn't destroy it," he said quietly. "We stopped it." Her voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "You lie." Elias met her gaze, unwavering. "You are advancing, system by system, world by world. You call it expansion. We call it invasion." Vera's grip tightened. "We bring order." "You bring control," he countered. "And not everyone wants that." Silence. Then, "You should have killed me," she said. Elias nodded. "Yeah, maybe. The final choice." That night, Vera stood alone. Her weapon was fully functional. Her strength had returned. She could kill him. Easily. A single strike. One cut. It would restore her honor. Fulfill her duty. End the contradiction that had taken root inside her. She stepped into the kitchen. Elias was there as always. Cooking. He didn't turn around. "You've been quiet," he said. She raised her blade. "I know what you are." "Yeah," he replied softly. "You do. You destroyed my fleet. You are going to destroy ours." Her voice trembled, not with fear, but with something unfamiliar. "You are my enemy." Elias finally turned to face her. "I know." Ending, a different kind of strength. The blade hovered in the air. Seconds passed. Then minutes. Vera's arm began to shake. Not from weakness. From conflict. For the first time in her life, she did not know what to do. Her entire existence had been built on certainty, orders, purpose, war. But here, there was something else. Something she didn't have a name for. Elias spoke quietly. You don't have to decide right now. She stared at him. I have already delayed too long. Or maybe, he said, you've finally taken the time to think. Her grip faltered. The blade lowered slightly. You are my enemy, she repeated, but the words felt hollow. Elias nodded. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just someone who didn't want you to die. Silence filled the room. Then, Vera deactivated her weapon. The hum of its energy field faded into nothing. She exhaled slowly. I do not understand this, she admitted. Elias smiled faintly.
Yeah.
That makes two of us. Epilogue. A new beginning. Weeks later, a transmission arrived. Kelry's survivors. Scattered. Broken. But alive. They were regrouping. Preparing for retaliation. They called for Commander Vera. For leadership. For war. She stood at the edge of the settlement, the communicator in her hand. Elias stood behind her, waiting, not expecting anything. Just there. Vera looked at the sky. Still blue. Still peaceful. She closed her eyes briefly. Then she spoke into the device. This is Commander Vera of the Ninth Blade. A pause. Her next words would decide everything. She opened her eyes. And chose. We will not attack. Silence crackled over the channel. Then chaos. Questions. Demands. Outrage. She cut the transmission. Behind her, Elias exhaled. That was big. Vera turned to him. I have made my decision. He nodded.
Yeah.
I figured. She looked at the small home, the garden, the kitchen, the place where she had learned something no battlefield had ever taught her. Teach me, she said. Elias blinked. Teach you what? She hesitated. Then slowly, how to make spaghetti.